Most Australians have no idea their trusted toilet paper may be contaminated with chemicals like PFAS, linked to cancer and hidden in brands millions use daily. Official claims of safety and eco-packaging disguise a crisis. In 2026, independent tests found toxic residues in household names, including so-called recycled and luxury rolls. If the labels cannot be trusted, how do you actually protect your family? And what else has been concealed? Inside the laboratory, the story of Australian toilet paper turns from marketing claims to molecular reality. Dr. Marquez, a toxicologist who has spent decades tracing chemical residues in consumer products, lays out the findings. The most persistent threat comes from PFAS, per- and polyfluoroalkyl substances, sometimes called forever chemicals for their ability to resist breakdown in the environment and the human body. Global studies show PFAS entering toilet paper through recycled content and contaminated water, with compounds like PFHXA, PFOA, PFDA, and 6,2-dipap detected in major brands worldwide. While Australian brand-specific data remains scarce, independent lab tests in the US and Europe have flagged fluorine levels between 10 and 35 parts per million in some bamboo and recycled rolls, a clear marker for PFAS presence. Dr. Marquez points to the chemical structure. These molecules slip through standard filtration, binding to the very fibers designed to feel soft and strong against the skin. The risk doesn't stop at PFAS. Chlorine-based bleaching, a common step in making toilet paper look bright and clean, produces dioxins, compounds the World Health Organization classifies as carcinogenic. Even trace amounts can accumulate over a lifetime of daily use, especially in products that promise ultra-whiteness or extra softness. Unbleached and totally chlorine-free options avoid this process, but most supermarket brands still rely on chlorine dioxide or similar agents. Dr. Marquez explains that these residues are not just industrial leftovers, they are absorbed through the skin and mucous membranes, especially in the moist vascular areas toilet paper contacts every day. BPA, or bisphenol A, enters the story through recycled paper. Office receipts and packaging are shredded and pulped, bringing with them a chemical known for disrupting hormones and showing up in 85% of children's urine samples worldwide. Formaldehyde, used for strength and wet resistance, and phthalates added for fragrance round out the list. These are not theoretical risks, each compound is detectable, and each has a documented pathway from paper to body. Microplastics too have been found in premium and quick-dissolve brands, released as the paper breaks down. Dr. Marquez's laboratory data makes one point clear. The average Australian can absorb 30 to 175 micrograms of PFAS per wipe, translating to up to 2.6 grams over a lifetime. For a product used by nearly every household, the chemical load is not just invisible, it is unavoidable unless consumers know where to look. Eco-friendly claims are everywhere in the toilet paper aisle. Nearly 7 out of 10 brands in Australia use words like recycled, sustainable, or green on their packaging. For many consumers, that label is enough to tip the scales. But behind the marketing, the chemical story tells a different tale. Sorbent, a household name for decades, boasts 100% recycled content. Yet independent testing revealed traces of at least 17 different industrial chemicals in a single roll. The recycling process doesn't just give paper a second life, it concentrates contaminants with every cycle. Thermal receipts, food wrappers, and office paper all end up in the mix, bringing BPA and other residues with them. The result? Recycled toilet paper often carries more of the very chemicals shoppers hope to avoid. FSC certification, a common badge on eco-brands, offers little reassurance. It verifies sustainable forestry, not chemical purity. PFAS, dioxins, and other toxins can still slip through, completely untested. For supermarket chains, the profit motive runs deeper than the green label. Woolworths and Coles, which control most of the Australian tissue market, have leaned into eco-branding while quietly sourcing cheaper imported pulp. Packaging might say Australian-made, but the raw material often comes from overseas mills, where chemical controls are less strict and transparency is optional. The loophole is simple: assemble and package locally, then claim local origin. The real story is in the supply chain, not the slogan. Matt Hughes, a former procurement manager for a major supermarket supplier, describes the pressure to cut costs. There was always a push to get the price down. If that meant buying pulp from China or Indonesia, so be it. No one was testing for PFAS or dioxins, just making sure the rolls looked white and felt soft. According to Hughes, the drive for margin trumps any real scrutiny of chemical residues. We could switch suppliers every 6 months. The only thing that mattered was price and appearance. The numbers reflect this reality. After a 2024 reformulation, independent analysis found a 340% spike in chemical residues in budget supermarket brands. The public never saw a warning, and the eco-claims stayed on the shelf. For shoppers, the green label has become a smokescreen, one that hides more than it reveals. The gap between marketing and molecular truth leaves Australian households exposed, trusting claims that no regulator is checking and no company is required to prove. 15,000 rolls. That's the average lifetime tally for an Australian adult, each one a fresh dose of chemicals against some of the most sensitive skin on the body. Dr. Marquez stands by a chart of absorption rates, pointing to the thin, vascular tissue where toxins don't just brush past, they enter. PFAS, dioxins, BPA, and microplastics aren't just environmental hazards, they're now part of daily intimate contact. Over decades, these compounds accumulate in tissues, bypassing the body's defenses, with children and pregnant women facing the steepest risks. In the laboratory, microplastics from so-called premium and quick-dissolve toilet papers have been shown to break free, adding invisible plastic fragments to every flush. Marketing term septic safe appears on countless packages, offering a sense of reassurance. But Dr. Marquez explains that the label means only that the paper disintegrates in water, not that it's free of toxic additives. Many septic-safe products still contain PFAS, chlorine, and plastic-based binders, chemicals that slip through wastewater systems and enter the environment. For the body, the distinction is meaningless. What matters is not how quickly the paper dissolves, but what it leaves behind. The numbers are stark. 60% of regular users exceed the World Health Organization's safe dioxin exposure just from toilet paper alone. With each use, the chemical burden quietly grows, hidden behind claims of safety that don't stand up to scrutiny. Brand by brand, the gaps in safety become impossible to ignore. Recent independent testing paints a stark picture. Recycled and supermarket-labeled toilet papers, long trusted for their low price or eco-claims, frequently deliver the highest chemical risks. While global studies have flagged PFAS in recycled and even some bamboo products, Australian brands like Quilton, Kleenex, Sorbent, Woolworths Essentials, and Coles Ultra offer no public lab data to prove their safety. In contrast, a handful of brands have opened their processes to scrutiny. EcoCheeks, Rustic Strength Panda Eco, and Platt Paper publish third-party certificates confirming non-detectable PFAS, no chlorine bleaching, and zero formaldehyde. Bunny's Bamboo and Eco Originals, both Melbourne-based, report similar results from independent labs. Who Gives a Crap, known for its bamboo rolls, claims low fluorine levels but has yet to produce comprehensive Australian tests. For shoppers, the divide is clear. Recycled content and supermarket labels carry the greatest unknowns, while unbleached, certified bamboo brands offer the most transparent path to safer use. The choice now sits squarely in the consumer's hands. Emma Taylor remembers standing in the supermarket aisle, holding 2 packs of toilet paper. The cheaper one, $28 for a bulk pack, promised softness and value. The other, $45 for a subscription box of certified bamboo, seemed like a luxury. But the price tag hides a deeper cost. Supermarkets make up to 65% more profit selling chemical-laden brands, while safer options are pushed to the bottom shelf or left out entirely. That $17 difference buys more than a marketing claim. It buys health security for 3 months, especially when chemical-free brands last longer and offer 20 to 30% discounts through direct subscriptions. The real shock comes at the checkout, not just in dollars, but in what's missing from the label. Australia's consumer watchdog, the ACCC, has no authority to regulate chemical content in toilet paper. Shoppers are left to navigate a market where safety claims go unchecked, and the burden of proof falls on families like Emma's. The choice is clear, but the power to protect your home comes only when you step outside the supermarket's rules and demand better, safer alternatives. Every flush is a choice, one that shapes your family's health. With no mandatory chemical testing in Australia, consumer action is the real watchdog. Your next role decides more than comfort. It decides safety. Demand better. The power to change the industry is literally in your hands.